Hey guys, it's Gameface here, and welcome back to episode 19 of my Sunderland career mode. Now in today's episode, we're going to be starting season 2 of the Sunderland career mode here. So that means we're obviously going to get into the transfer window, try and sign some new players, also sell some new players as well, and essentially set up the new season. So we're first of all going to start off by ending the last season. We're going to do some player drills here, and try and get various different players go up in overall. We'll just quickly switch out Elena, and I'm going to just bring in a Soro here, because I'm keen to try and get him going up in overall before the new season starts. I want him to be as good as possible when we obviously get into the season, so he can start for us regularly. We'll get his finishing and shot power up here hopefully over the next few weeks. Let's sim these drills, see how Wilson gets on, see how Elena gets on, as well as a Soro. Hopefully a bit of progress. Yes, Wilson goes up to 64 overall, goes up on loads of his stats here. Elena has recently gone up to 73 overall as well. But before we go any further, if we could try and hit 50 likes on today's episode, I would really appreciate it. If you are new to the channel or just haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. It'd be absolutely fantastic. I would really appreciate it as well. And I'll quickly show you the league table as well, because I don't think I did show you the final league table in the last episode. This is how the season finished. We finished in 3rd position, 69 points, 5 points behind 2nd place, and in the end 11 points behind 1st place Chelsea. The teams that got relegated were Hull City, Bournemouth and Burnley, and yeah, they will leave the division. We'll wait and see who comes up from the Championship. And yeah, let's pretty much try and end the season. I will be doing the player drills between now and the end of the season, but I'll only be showing you 1 or 2 things, I would imagine. Player contracts expiring, not planning to sign any of those players up on contracts, just going to let them leave and go to free agents. We've also got Jan Kirchhoff as well, who's departing the club. We found out about that in January, so it's a shame to see him go, but he's departing the club. He signed a pre-contract agreement, and that means he leaves. And we do also have a monthly scouting report to take a look at, but there's nothing particularly interesting to show you there. Just to let you know, I've offered some new contracts out to some of the players in our squad that I would like to offer new deals to. So Kasri gets a 1-year contract extension and quite a big wage increase as well. Osoro gets a new 2-year extension as well, £5 a week for him. Gibson gets a new 1-year contract extension, the same with Tom Heaton. The reason why I've decided to do that is because we may as well do it whilst we have some money to spend. You can see the wage budget here is absolutely ridiculous for us, even though it will decrease pretty quickly, but I thought I may as well do that since obviously we've got loads of money at the moment, and that will probably get wiped out quite substantially by the club taking most of it. And here we go, ready to end this season. We've got the end of season review here. Should not come as a surprise, not entirely satisfied with our results this season. Yeah, it does come as a surprise. We finished 3rd. The target was mid-table. We failed to achieve a number of our objectives and thus fallen short of what we expected to accomplish, both on and off the pitch. Now, this annoys me a little bit because we didn't do the Youth Academy one. Now, the Youth Academy, I think, was either a low or medium target. We didn't manage to do that one because the scout came back and gave us absolute nonsense. The players were terrible. We only have 3 players in our Youth Academy, 2 of which we signed after the season had finished. So really, really bad showing, but that's because the scout brought us back terrible English players. So very, very strange stuff there, but we also didn't achieve another one of the objectives as well. Again, another low objective, and yet they've come back and got really annoyed at me for finishing 3rd place. Very strange. We were hoping for stronger commitment and better results from you. That said, we believe you deserve another chance and would like to stay another season. Well, it wasn't even in my mind that I was going to get sacked, although they seem to make it like I was kind of on the edge of being sacked, which is very strange, given the fact that I've given Sunderland their best finish in God knows how many seasons. So I've really no idea what's happened there. But let's crack on with the 2nd season. A very strange end to the 1st season. And let's just see what our budget is going into the next season. Okay, so here we go. The start of the 2nd season here. The start of a new season for us. Let's have a look what the budget is like. £34 million is okay. It's obviously, I think, higher than what we had last season, if I remember correctly. Could actually be wrong on that one, thinking about it, but £34 million, 110 grand a week as well on the wage budget. So not a huge amount, especially considering we had such a large amount left over last year, £25 million, and a huge profit which we made the club. So a little bit disappointing in some ways, but it's still going to be enough to try and change this team, because we're going to be getting rid of a few players as well. And we won't be doing the pre-season tournament either. I know that gets you maybe up to like £8 million extra. I mean, it could be a little bit less than that, but around a few £1 million extra anyway. We won't be doing that because I like to spend the time training the players and getting sort of used to the sort of system I want to try and play. Of course, it'd be nice to trial out different teams and things, but don't really want to waste time doing that. I want to try and train up the side as much as possible. So we will be looking into the transfer window, into the transfer market. We'll also be getting rid of some players as well. Big news for us here, though. Peter Crouch will be retiring at the end of his contract, which is obviously at the end of the season. So that will mean it's his last season at the club, essentially. But for us, that's okay, because we're only doing this final season as well. So it's a shame that he's retiring, but like I say, it's not too bad because we're ending at the end of the season anyway. So let's crack on with going through our squad and deciding which players we should sell and send out on loan, those sort of things. Which players should be listed here? That's going to be something we're going to take a look at now. Okay, so this is what's going to go on. I've only listed 5 players here. So we've got Nelson leaving us. Not really too sure who he is. I think he was out on loan last season, so we're going to get rid of him. Doesn't look good enough. Greenwood's going to leave us as well. Not ideal. I know it's quite nice to keep some of the young players already at the club, but he's a young player that's just not quite good enough overall, because he's not like 18, 19. He's 21 now, so he's got to be a decent overall. He's not quite there. Robson will leave us as well. Another young player that's, again, just not really good enough at the moment. Anichebe's also going to leave us as well. Slightly bigger name here, Anichebe. Just not so impressed with him in game. Okay, some people are a fan of him, some people quite like him, and he is an aerial presence, but I want a little bit more quality in a big man up front. And Manone's going to leave us as well. That's purely because he wants to leave and he's not happy with the amount of game time he's getting. So we're going to have to bring someone in to try and replace him, because obviously he's our backup goalkeeper, so we need to try and find someone to try and obviously fill in his position. We have, on the other hand, decided to keep Matthews, a player that was loaned out last season, purely because we have no other right-backs at the moment. I wouldn't rule out getting rid of him if we were to be able to get in maybe 2 right-backs to cover that. But obviously Manquillo's gone back to Liverpool, so that means we don't have a right-back in that position. And we've also got a few other loan players leaving us as well. So Januzaj might be a player that we try and sign back, although I'm not 100% sure on that one. We might just look at a different winger, to be honest, if there's a better option, because Januzaj was good, but he was inconsistent, so I want someone that's a little bit more consistent, I think, than Januzaj. It's also important to mention the teams that have come back up, actually, before we go into trying to sign players. Brighton have come up into the Premier League. We've also got, who else going up? I was about to say Middlesbrough, they were already up. Newcastle join us back in the Premier League as well, and Norwich are the other teams. So 3 of the teams that you maybe well expect to be coming up. Maybe not Norwich, given how they've played in real life, but Newcastle and also Brighton as well joining us in the Premier League this season. I've just completely forgot. We signed some pre-contract agreements in January, and I can't even remember who we signed. The only one I can actually remember is Yaya Toure. I'm pretty sure we signed him. Completely forgot about this. Player returning from loan as well, and that's Josh Maha from Crewe Alexandra. His loan has expired. He joins us. More importantly, though, let's take a look at the pre-contract agreements. Completely forgot about them. First one is Amato Sirietti. I can't remember what position he was. In fact, we won't check now because it'll just give away the rest of them. Player left the club, that's obviously Jan Kirchhoff. Who else has signed for us? Martin Caceres, a centre-back, who can also play right-back as well, potentially. That's also great news. I'm assuming the last one was Yaya Toure. So, can't quite remember what position this guy was. It might have been a centre-attacking mid off the top of my head, but I can't quite remember. We'll take a look now at what overalls they all are. Caceres, 81 overall. He looks really good. A right-back as well for us. I think that might be where I'll play him, just because we don't really have any sort of big, strong right-backs at the moment. He's only 5'11", but actually, he's a very strong player, very physical player, and he's also very fast as well. So he's actually going to be our right-back for the season, I think. Already that's a huge improvement in the team. Look at that, fitting in at centre-back really well. It was one of our best players. Who else did we sign? Yaya Toure was in there. Is he going to be at the bottom? Yeah, 82 overall, Yaya Toure. So another player I'm really looking forward to trying to use this season. Obviously coming into the latter stages of his career, but for a season, he'll be really good, I think, for us. So looking forward to using him, along with a centre-attacking mid, a younger centre-attacking mid, probably less known as well. Sirietti, I think is how I pronounce his name. That's how I'm going to try and pronounce it anyway. He can play as a winger as well as in the centre attacking mid position, and he's very fast. That's why I brought him in, a fast centre-attacking mid, which we don't really have at the moment. I know we've got Kazri, but he's not as pacey as this guy, and this guy just gives us another option off the bench to try and fill up our squad a little bit, especially with us having Champions League football. So looks really, really good, our team at the moment, looking to try and develop it over this sort of summer transfer window and see whether we can create a proper sort of Champions League team ready for the new season coming up. Because even though we're not really supposed to win the Champions League, with it being our first season, we are going to try and give it a go, with it also being our last season of the Sunderland career mode as well. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a right-back now. It's going to be Kieran Trippier we're going to take a look at. We're going to put in a bid for him, including Matthews, who's going to try and go the other way. So that will mean that obviously we'll have 2 right-backs at the club, or 2 right-backs I want to try and keep at the club. Kieran Trippier and also Caceres as well, who's going to play as our starting right-back. We're going to go with £6 million plus Matthews, who's worth 2.6. Hopefully that's going to be enough, but it's difficult to know exactly how much Kieran Trippier is going to be worth. He's also got a very, very big wage as well. 65 grand a week is quite a lot, but it does help us that he's a squad rotational player, so hopefully that helps us a little bit in order to try and sign him. And I'm not really too sure there's anybody else that I quite like the look of, to be honest, in the Premier League. I was going to try and sign Yedlin, then realising he's obviously a Newcastle player. That probably wouldn't go down too well. So I'm not really too sure who else to go with. Again, Pablo Zabaleta and Sanya would be nice, but they're ageing and not particularly quick. Okay, the next player I'm going to go for is Ben Foster. I know he's 34 years old, so obviously not a fantastic overall, but we need to try and bring in someone to play as our backup goalkeeper to Tom Heaton. And that guy is going to hopefully be Ben Foster. He's actually got really good stats at the moment, and I think he'll be a fantastic backup for us. 6'4" as well, left-footed, and we are going to try and get rid of Minone as part of that deal. He is worth £4.3 million. He wants to leave. We've transfer listed him, so we're going to add £3 million on top of that, and that is worth it. That is a little bit more than what Ben Foster is worth. So hopefully we can try and get Ben Foster in from that deal. But obviously, like I say, he will come in as a backup to our current goalkeeper Tom Heaton, in order to just give him another option in case things don't go well for him this season or he gets an injury, that sort of thing. And hopefully he's a good enough option as well. Okay, so I'm just taking a look at Adnan Januzaj, and we are going to maybe put in a bid for him. It's difficult to know. He's on a huge salary now at Manchester United, 76 grand a week, sporadic first team player. The board, the chief executive says it could happen, so we could be able to sign him, but it's £10 million. A lot of money in order to sign him up, and I don't know whether maybe a loan offer would be more realistic for us in order to try and keep him at the club just till the end of the season, because that's all we need him for, really. We're not going any further, so there's no real need to try and sign him permanently. But at the same time, it's 76 grand a week. It's a lot of money, so maybe we're better off signing someone that's worth a little bit less and also has a lower salary but having him permanently. So it's difficult to know. We will just go with a one-year loan offer to begin with. I'm not a huge fan of going for however much I'm going to have to pay for it, maybe £10, £11 million. So we are just going to go with that and see what comes back of it. If it doesn't work out, we'll have to move on to another winger, because I don't really want to have to spend such a huge part of our budget, like a third of our budget, just on one player. Okay, so I've now been scouting and shortlisting quite a few different wingers. We'll wait and see what comes back of the offers and the scout reports that I've put in. We will now get on with some player drills, and again continue to scout these players which I've started to scout at the start of the season. So we've got Soro in there, Elena, Kimbemba and Wilson all in there as different options for us. Hopefully I have loads of stats flying up this week, and we'll wait and find out exactly what does happen here. Soro goes up to 75 overall, fantastic news. Just that one stat was needed for him to go up to 75, and he's already looking like a much better striker. Just by hitting that 75 mark, it always helps and improves his chances of getting into the starting 11 as well, fighting alongside Jermaine Defoe this season. Manchester United rejecting the loan offer, decided we can't agree to the loan, not looking to loan him out at this time. Despite him being a sporadic first-team player, they don't want to let him go. So that means Januzaj will not be signing for us in this transfer window, not going to be putting in a bid for him, not at sort of 10, 11, 12 million pounds. It's going to be too expensive, I think, for us. West Brom rejecting our bid for Ben Foster, not interested in the player I've included, and the cash amount was not enough. We'll go £5 million. I know they're not interested in Minone, but we'll try and force them to be interested by increasing the amount of money we'll put as part of the deal. Transfer for him for Kone, and it's only £5.5 million from Inter Milan. Rejects that one straight away. No interest in getting rid of him for that sort of amount anyway. Spurs saying the transfer offer was unacceptable for Kieran Trippier. Again, not interested in the player Matthews. So we'll take him out of the deal, maybe try and sell him separately, and we'll just go £8 million now. Okay, so scout reports coming back on a few wingers I've been taking a look at. The first one is for Chadley, 78 overall. Looks pretty good, actually. Wage-wise, actually, was very surprising. 37.5 grand a week, so that's very good, obviously. So that helps us out massively, but he's just not that fast, and that was a little bit disappointing. Dribbling-wise, not too bad. Shot power, not too bad. But he's not fantastic. He is very sort of average, and I want someone that's going to really change a game and really influence a match. I just don't think those stats really suggest that. Still waiting on the Redmond one for quite a little while longer, along with a few other scout reports as well. Pinto, I think, was another player I scouted at right back. He could actually come in if obviously the Trippier deal doesn't happen. He is a potential option for us. He looks like he could be a good right back. On to the wingers though. Knockout was another player I was looking at, and 77 overall, £7 million. Wage not too bad, maybe a little higher than I thought. Again, the pace isn't fantastic, but it's okay. And again, the dribbling looks pretty decent. He could be an option for us, but again, just not the lightning pace I really like to have in our wingers usually. So a little bit disappointing there, but certainly Pinto looks a good option at right back for us if the Kieran Trippier deal doesn't go ahead. More transfer offers in, this time for some players that we actually want to sell. And each be first of all, Brighton putting in a bid for £2.5 million. I'm going to look for more sort of 3.2 million ideally. We'll wait and see whether they go ahead and match it. On to the next bid, and that's for Jermaine Defoe. Cagliari want to sign him £7 million. He's worth 5. I'm not really too sure what to do here because he has sprung up with quite a few goals for us in the last season. I'm pretty sure he was one of our top goal scorers, if not our top goal scorer. A lot of them were from the penalty spot though. That's my only thing with him. He doesn't really get involved in the game too much in terms of sort of build-up play. Because of his size, he struggles against the defenders. So I'm maybe tempted to get rid of Jermaine Defoe, which might not be particularly popular, but he's obviously 34 years old, and I just think we've got Champions League football, we've got so many more competitions to think about and to try and compete in our final season. I don't know whether he's going to be quite good enough for us. So what we'll say is £9 million, which is obviously going to really stretch, and I don't think they'll match it, to be honest. But if they do match it, then Jermaine Defoe will be leaving us. And another bid in for a different player, Kessie, another player that we've not transfer listed. £11.5 million from Real Sociedad. Now, he's 20 years old, 77 overall. He's been okay in game. He's not done anything bad. He's not doing anything that great, really. I'm not too keen to get rid of him, because I think him and Yaya Toure could be quite a nice partnership in midfield. They'll complement each other, I think, quite well, because Kessie's a bit of a faster holding midfielder, whereas Yaya Toure a little bit stronger, and going to obviously make those more clinical passes forward. And again, we've got West Brom rejecting the bid that we put in for Ben Foster. We'll get rid of Manone, again, another player that maybe we could sell by himself, and we'll just go with a £7 million bid for Ben Foster. Not ideal, but obviously we'll get some money back by selling it out of the players we want to try and get rid of. Okay, some more play drills to do just before we get towards the end of today's episode. It's difficult to know exactly how long this has gone on for, whether it's the transfer window. There's a lot of stop-starting, so apologies if it's too short or too long. It'll be back to normal hopefully next episode when we have a better idea of exactly how long we'll go on for. Elena going up there to 74 overall. Wilson goes up, I think, also to 65 as well this week, so that's great news. Some really good growth to open up the season with, and we'll just sim another day, and Spurs have come back and rejected the bid for Kieran Trippier. £12.5 million is what they want for the right back. Don't really want to stretch that far. I think we'll have to go £9.5 million. It's a lot for a right back, especially one that's going to probably be a backup to Cesares as well. It's a lot of money. And maybe that's why I should probably put in a bid for Pinto, I think, just as another option, because that is obviously going to cost us a lot of money at the Kieran Trippier deal. And this guy looks pretty decent. He's good enough as a backup, I think. He's got decent pace, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. He's got decent standing tackle and slide tackle as well, and he's much cheaper, so maybe he's a better option. So £4.4 million for him, obviously substantially less than Kieran Trippier, and quite rightly, I suppose, he will be a backup right back for us. But that one, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Who should I sign? Should I go all out and spend big on a secondary right back in Kieran Trippier, or go a little bit less and buy Pinto? Obviously not quite as good in game, I'd imagine. But that's everything for today's episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Obviously still only 10 days into the transfer window, so plenty of time to make new signings and obviously sell players as well. I'll be interested to hear about your guys' suggestions in the comments below. I'll read and reply to them as usual. Don't forget you can also tweet me as well at GameFaceHD. The link to that is in the description below. Always respond to my tweets on there, so feel free to go ahead and do that. And that's everything for today's episode. Thank you very much for watching. If we could try and hit 50 likes on today's episode, I would really appreciate it. Also, if you are new to the channel as well, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well down below. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Don't forget to click the bell button as well to keep notifications on for these videos. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and goodbye.